Hey guys, welcome to the YouTube channel. Um, Needless to say, people who have been on my channel for a while know I am somewhat having a boycott of James Cameron movies. Now, given I am a fan of James Cameron, I do have True Lies right here in the shelf, if I can get it out. It's always a stuck title in there, but there's True Lies if you need to see it. I've also got The Abyss in the other room. I've got Aliens over there somewhere. So I do collect James Cameron films. I've got the Terminator right behind me, Terminator 1 and 2 on 4K. So I'm a fan of Cameron films, but when I talk about the boycott, for the longest time I boycotted his newer stuff, Avatar, because that's where his energy's been going, and that's why I feel we've been getting somewhat questionable releases on 4K and restorations. But when you talk about Cameron, maybe I was out of line boycotting him. There's one thing we've got to give Cameron. He knows how to make action movies, and he knows how to make movies about the sea. Given Titanic's one of my favourite films. So, Cameron knows what he's doing, and he's one of the best directors. Like, let's say that, like, regardless of how I feel about him these days, he was sitting at one point as my favorite director. He was my favorite director of all time before that spot's kind of been taken in recent years by Christopher Nolan and Martin Scorsese. They've kind of shared the top spot now of living directors. In terms of directors who've passed, I mean, I would count Alfred Hitchcock in there as well. Hitchcock movies are always up there. But yeah, what do we think about Cameron and his work in recent years? Like, obviously, a lot of that energy has been spent on Avatar. He is creating technology to film underwater and, motion capture underwater. He's basically developing cameras to do that. I mean, you kind of have to think, yeah, Cameron's pretty cool. He does what he needs to do. I just don't like that he doesn't show the respect to the back catalogue of movies that people love and that will put him on the map. It's kind of like what Peter Jackson done with Lord of the Rings. Now, I did talk about this in the previous one. I did talk about this, and if I can get it out, because it is stuck in there. There it is. So the thing with Lord of the Rings is people have said the restoration with this was pretty terrible. Now, when we look at the restoration, what I'm talking about is, Legolas, who already looked waxy in the original Lord of the Rings when it was shot and released in cinemas. This one just does more because they do DNR, which DNR is digital noise reduction, taking out the grain, trying to make it look like it was shot yesterday on digital. But it doesn't always work for Lord of the Rings. And also they've put like a color grade change over some parts of it to show you're watching a flashback. That's the biggest critiques I've heard of this one, and that's why people are sticking with the DVDs. I did mention that in the last one, but I know some people got confused about, hold on, who's boycotting this? Are you lying? No, that's what I've heard online. Like, you just go and read Reddit. Like, it takes 2 seconds. Like, do some research. But, this is what I'm talking about. When directors start neglecting their back catalogues, it makes the fans, the long-time fans, the ones who once considered Cameron one of the best directors of all time, he's still up there, don't get me wrong, he's still in the best directors of all time. But, for the longest time, I boycotted Avatar 2. I thought about going to see it at the cinemas, and I was like, I can't do it because of what he did to Terminator. Or Terminator 2. I can't just see it. It's like, I can't endorse Cameron's behavior when it comes to phoning in his classics and saying, screw it, who cares about that movie anyways? I'm focused on the blue aliens, or whatever it is. I know that's where his energy is. I believe he's doing great work with the technology. It is opening up pathways for filmmakers. A lot of this is opening up pathways for emerging filmmakers who might say, yeah, Avatar, that gets us thinking about, how will we do this? How will we do that? How will we do Dragon Ball Z as a live action movie that isn't Dragon Ball Evolution? But, there's all this stuff that emerging filmmakers and people might be looking at. But yeah, what do you think about the Cameron question? I mean, a lot of people, like myself, feel like Cameron is focusing a bit too much on Avatar, and it's really hurting his overall appeal as a director. Now, given the gold standard in this for doing this, or like neglecting the fan base and doing what they don't want him to do, is George Lucas. Like, the fans of Star Wars complained for many, many, many years about Star Wars. You've ruined Star Wars. How dare you? Those prequels were awful. And then we saw what Disney done, and they're like, please, for the love of all things holy, give it back to George Lucas. But, you don't really know what you have until you lose it. And for the longest time, I didn't watch this movie. And I watched it the other week, and I really enjoyed this movie. I really, really enjoyed The Way of Water. I think Cameron got it right. And you can tell he put a lot of energy into it. You can tell this was a 10-year plus passion project of his. and I'm sure we're going to get that fire one. Number 3, I believe it's called, or whatever. But you know what I'm saying? Like, there is parts of me that's like, maybe I was wrong boycotting him. Maybe I should be looking at his modern stuff before I make the determination whether Cameron is one of the best. Like, he is one of the best. I can't deny he's one of the best. Given Avatar 1 doesn't hold up too well. I mean, graphically it does, but in terms of the story, meh, you know? This one was a lot better movie, you know? Bad guy comes back, he's reincarnated, he's got to do this and that. Like, this had a better overall story than number 1. Can we admit that? But yeah, you know, I just, let's say the Cameron boycott is over. He's done a lot of good releases. I do like what he did to Titanic. Yes, it had DNR, but for me it works. I do prefer the 3D release, also, where it fills up the screen. That's pretty cool, but it is cropped aspect ratio, or like different aspect ratio, so I don't like that. But, you know, there's many different ways to watch these movies. There are many different versions. I can choose to say, you know what, I'm just going to stick with the Blu-ray copy of Terminator, wherever it is. It's probably behind me somewhere. I don't know where it is. But, you know, I can probably stick with that copy. Do I really need to boycott Cameron by doing it? Like, you know, I really should be nicer about these things and think before I act, you know? Think before I make these comments and jump on YouTube and start ranting about it. But yeah, I just wanted to come on here and say, what do we think of Avatar: The Way of Water? Like, I enjoyed it. I watched it for the first time the other week. Probably wouldn't have went and seen it at the cinemas, being honest. Like, it was a 3.5 hour movie. Making a movie just for the sake of making it that long is no reason to make a movie that long. I criticize Martin Scorsese about the same thing, but Martin Scorsese's things with, like, The Irishman are built for home release. They're built for viewing at home. So Christopher Nolan does it for cinema, but, you know, Christopher Nolan is making 3-hour films like Oppenheimer, but I think at this point he's just competing with IMAX, trying to get those IMAX reels as big as he can. He'd probably push it to 6 hours if he could, but, you know, it's part of the fun of filmmaking, I guess. But let me know what you think in the comments. I would love to know what you think. Let me know, and I will read the comments. I might get back to you in the next one, maybe not. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm trying to bring back the vibe of the channel. I don't know what I'm going to do for videos. I'm just going to make it up as I go along. And yeah, let me know what you thought of Avatar: The Way of Water. And yeah, did you enjoy it? Catch you in the next one. Peace.